For us, the experience of being out, seeing whales, we've learned a lot of things over the years. And one of the most important... Yes! See? What we've learned is, most of the time, we miss that shot. Because we're just going, wow. Yeah. So what we learned is, we tape a video camera to our head. Okay? And just turn it on and go about our day, and then when something like that happens, then we catch it. So I've learned that there's a lot of things that happen in the world of whales, and the story really needs to start down in the tropics, and the reason it needs to start there is because of birth. And so we're going to start our adventure there, and then we'll work our way back toward Alaska. And if I were to pick a place to go, hey, why not Hawaii? That's an okay place. And if I were to pick a time, I'd take the last 2 weeks in February and the first 2 weeks in March. I mean, it's just whale soup out in the Hawaiian Islands during that time. That Kailua Kona coast on the western side, the Ao Channel that separates the four-island group, and also the Barking Sands region on the west side of Kauai is one of these amazing places where everybody says, well, whale watching's not very good. The reality is whale watching's phenomenal up there. You just got to get up there. So the time is superb. The beauty of March and that February time frame is most of the Kona storms are gone. The weather is turning good. There's lots of new little baby whales. And the resorts, man, it's so beautiful during that time frame. And if you've got children, man, they've got it wired for the kids. It's so good. But if there's any kids in this room, do not let your parents put you on this water slide. We are talking the worst wedgie of your life. You're going to hit this convergence and your suit's going to be up around your ears for the rest of the day. But, parents have got to understand, you don't even have to go out on the water in order to watch whales. The beauty of this is that you can lie on the beach, and especially early morning hours, like 6 o'clock through to about 7:30 in the morning when the whales are in really close to the beach. It's a phenomenal time to be there. But what we must know is that the whales haven't always chosen to go there. As we start looking back through the pictographs and the petroglyphs and the information that's available, what we see is no indication of whales. But about 200 years ago, some of you know this guy, King Kamehameha, and during Kamehameha's rule, we see an indication via the spoken language of Kohola, the whale. Prior to that, no indication. So within that, Kohola, and Kohola, the word seems to have cropped up right about the time that the fall festival arrives. Now, the fall festival is a very, very important time. That's the fall harvest, And guys, in the world of the Hawaiian Islands, you dance the hula. Naiakola, 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 naiakola. The arrival of the whale was a very, very important part of the fall festival. And with that, the whale hula, the guys doing the whale hula was very, very, very important. And then one day, a ship shows up in Kealakekua Bay, and off walks Captain Cook. They'd never seen a white-skinned person ever in their lives. They thought it was Lono. Lono. Oh, God, Lono. Oh, they gave him anything he wanted. Cook wrote into his journals, these are the most amenable people I've ever met in my whole life. They're amazing. And everything went pretty well until Cook returned after the fall festival with a broken mast, broke a bunch of religious rules, and so they killed him. But his crew got back home to Europe and they said, there's whales in the Sandwich Islands. There's whales there. Holy cow, there's whales all over the place. And all the whaling teams are going, what? There's whales in the subtropics and tropics? We've been going to the Antarctic and we've gone to the Arctic to freeze to death in order to hunt whales, and we can hunt whales in the tropics. Now, ladies, we're talking about guys that go to sea for 4, 5, maybe 6 years. Don't see a girl for 6 years. And they look like this. They got to the tropics and they saw all those beautiful brown-skinned girls and they said, forget the whales! We're chasing girls! And very few whales got hunted in that time frame because of the fact that the whales were hard to stay with, they weren't easy, and they were losing weight really rapidly, and so very few whales died. But a few years slipped by. The 1960s. And the Russians said, hey, aren't there whales in the Hawaiian Islands? And they set up factory whaling ships at the 12-mile zone. They started slaughtering whales as they arrived each season. You could smell the stench in downtown Honolulu. Save the Whales came into existence. Save the Whales. People from all over the world came to the Hawaiian Islands to save the whales. Roger and Katie Payne, created some of the first recordings. People to this day show up into the islands, to save the whales and experience the whales. The boats come up onto the beaches, they pick you up right off of Kaanapali, that's Sheridan Blackrock in the background, and the kids from every walk of life that are out there. I mean, this kid is from Denmark, this kid is from Canada, this kid is from Japan, and they're all thinking the same thing. And Ananda from National Geographic, she's out there shooting a new documentary right at this moment, and they're all thinking, whales, 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 whales. Then it happens. Now, you all know the international whale signal, right? Everybody understands. Doesn't matter what language you speak. I mean, the Japanese are Kachita, and the Germans are Berliner, bitte holen Sie bitte. But if you cut loose with "There she blows," people are going to think you have gas. I mean, when we started studying whales, early on, the scientific community said the humpback whale blow looks like a morel mushroom. How many of you have ever seen a morel mushroom? Yeah, I had to look through the books, it was amazing, but I came onto the whaling scene, and I said, man, it kind of looks like cotton candy to me. And people said, wow, cotton candy works for me too, that looks a lot like candy. So nowadays, we refer to the humpback whale's blow as looking like cotton candy or a morel mushroom. And when we started studying whales, what we found is that different shapes of blows gave us indications of different species of whales. So, for instance, if you were to come down to South America with this ship and be in the Gulf of Nuevo, you might see this distinct V-shaped exhalation. Or if you came all the way up to the Beaufort and the Chukchi Sea with me and studied whales up there, you'd be able to see the bowheads and the rights. They have this really classic V-shape to their exhalation. And for instance, later on this afternoon, after we leave the Hubbard Glacier, you might get a chance to see a distinct 45-degree exhalation associated with the sperm whale. Different species of whales, different shapes to the blows. And so you see that distinct cotton candy shaped blow, you turn to everybody on the ship and you go, humpback whales! They'll be impressed. You've identified a species of whale by the shape of the blow.